Jeremiyah Love is one of the most electric prospects in the 2026 NFL Draft, let alone one of the most electric running back prospects of the decade so far. The junior running back from Notre Dame is the consensus #1 running back in this class by a long shot, and he has that skill set to make things look easy. In this video, I'm going to tell you why he's ranked as a top prospect in this upcoming draft, and I'll also tell you why he has the potential to be the best J Love in the league. Sorry, Jordan. But I'm being honest. Love could be a top tier running back right out of the gate, but before we dive into why, we need to know how he got here. Coming out of Christian Brothers College High School, weird contradiction, Love solidified himself as a top 100 prospect in the class of 2023. He was also the Missouri Gatorade Player of the Year as a senior and was a state champion sprinter in track and field. He committed to Notre Dame during that senior season. He curved out a role in the backfield as a freshman, rushing for 385 yards and 1 touchdown behind Audric Estime. Once Estime left for the league, Love took off. As a sophomore, he went for over 1,100 yards and 17 touchdowns on the ground, while finding some success as a receiver as well. And so far as a junior, he's ran for over 1,100 yards and 14 touchdowns while adding 3 touchdowns in the air. Backup Jadarian Price has carved into his carries more than ever, but he is currently just outside of the consensus top 100 prospects. Now that you get the gist of Jeremiyah Love, let's get diving into the film. When watching Love's tape, there are 2 things that stand out to me as his best traits. 2 traits that shine as among the best that I've seen in a running back prospect since I started doing these scouting videos in 2023. The first trait is his explosiveness. When this guy finds a hole, especially right after the handoff, he shoots out of a cannon. Most people saw this on display when he ran for a 98-yard touchdown against Indiana in the college football playoff. He saw the hole early, exploded through it, and got to top speed extremely quickly. His explosiveness gives him more opportunities for breakaway runs. So far in 2025, he ranks 4th in FBS with 17 runs of 15 yards or more, and he's 4th in breakaway yards with 544. Love is also super lethal on outside runs, where he's given space to work with and defenders to outrun. I want to highlight this run against Texas A&M this season, where he shakes Jordan Lockhart out of his cleats, forces captain and projected 4th round pick Tarian York to change his pursuit before shoving him out anyways, before being shoved out of bounds. But hitting this edge this quick allows for him to just take off. The second trait that really sticks out above all is his contact balance when he's hit on the lower half. That same lower half is slimmer than most NFL running backs, but he has the balance to shrug off hits and shed a ton of tackles. His missed tackle rate forced numbers don't jump out of the gym or jump off the field, I guess, in football terms. He was 16th in the 2024 FBS regular season in missed tackles forced, and is so far 10th in missed tackles forced this year. Both impressive clips, but the tape is even more impressive. Here's one example where he explodes outside and breaks 2 tackles before stiff-arming a 3rd and eventually getting run out of bounds. We see a lot of these chunk plays on film where he won't just break 1 tackle, he'll break multiple. While those 2 traits stand out more than the others, that's not the entirety of Love's mold. He's overall a high-end athlete with the deep speed, agility, and the range to intimidate defenders and build explosive plays at all 3 levels of the field. Going one by one here, beginning with his deep speed. I briefly mentioned it earlier with his explosiveness that he accelerates to top speed at super fast rates. That becomes even more impressive when I mention that his top speed is a 4.4 runner like, top end speed that matches the likes of Chase Brown and James Cook, and beats the likes of Christian McCaffrey and Bijan Robinson. We don't see a ton of 20+ yard runs on tape. He had 11 in 2024 and he has 9 so far this season. But he's a burner if you give him a gap and 25 yards to go. Then we get the agility, which is up and down for me. When he's in the open field, Love is a creative runner whose agility pops out a lot. There's a pattern with these traits. Give Love an open field and he's going to be an impact. This ties into that range, which being a 6-foot leaner running back should be a given that he can make up a ton of space on his cuts.
Post-recording CKJ here. I just realized I completely forgot to mention that this guy has an obsession with hurdles. I'm not sure if you've seen the highlights, but this guy can jump out of the gym.
His agility in a phone booth, though, is just average for me. He turns forward for extra yardage and runs with his pads low and falling forward, but that doesn't excuse that he will often fall fate to defensive linemen or larger linebackers on zone runs. What brings down his athleticism grade for me, though, is his reactionary athleticism, or I guess reaction time. Runs that get blown up are going to stay that way for Love. If a defender gets in his face right from the handoff, he relies on his play strength to get out of there. His cuts just come to a stop or just come too slow. On top of that, he possesses average play strength at best, with most of that showing on stiff arms or churning for extra yardage. I'm not saying I'm not sold on Love's athleticism, because I absolutely am. It's still in the great tier for me because of his elite explosiveness and top tier range. But there are a couple things to clear up on the athletic end. Something that I am 100% sold on, though, is his ball security. I think people underestimate just how important this is for the NFL. I think it's one of the most important traits overall in a running back. So real quick, let me tell you just how good Love's ball security is. Freshman year, 63 touches with 57 rushing attempts, no fumbles. Sophomore year, 165 touches with 141 rushing attempts, no fumbles. Junior year so far, 203 touches with 177 rushing attempts, just one fumble against Boise State. It took Love over 300 rushing attempts before he fumbled once. Currently, he has a fumble rate of 0.23%. His ball security is super important, but even more important is his vision. I do like his vision overall, although it is not superior, but I do think it will translate over to the NFL. I do have more concerns with his patience than I do his vision, and I will get into that here. At his best, Love has fantastic vision and will explode through gaps as soon as they open. He sees that daylight and goes running for it pretty quickly. There is a difference between just having vision and then having vision with the phenomenal athleticism to make the most of it. He isn't sent on many dive plays, and he may not be the primary third and short back right out the gate in the NFL. That's if the team has a better physical option. I always think of this though. If we go back to last season, Notre Dame had a pretty even split with zone runs and gap runs, and Love kind of emphasized that. 55% of his rushing attempts were zone runs, while 42% were gap runs. Not sure where the other 3% is, but you get what I'm saying. Compare that to this year, where Love's zone run split has jumped to 62%, while gap runs have fallen to 37%. Another percent is missing PFF. Where's the percent? Anyways, back on track. There is one concern that I have with his vision. I always have a philosophy where if you don't have standout vision, you can create standout vision with standout patience. Love had standout patience against Pitt last Saturday, so props to him there, but in the games I watched, there was a bit of inconsistency there, specifically with Love rushing into some of his execution. On some zone runs, he'll explode through a gap that doesn't exist, running into either his own guys or straight into the defender's arms. On some gap runs, he'll trust the system, which he probably should, but it results in a tackle for loss after the play was blown up. So just some impatience and inconsistency sometimes, but as I said, at its best, it is fantastic. And then when you think that's it, there's a whole nother aspect of his game that we haven't even discussed yet, and it's a strength yet again. It's enough of a strength to where I can jokingly say that Jeremiyah Love has been a wide receiver in his past life. Yes, he's not the best receiving back I've ever scouted, and in fact, that section in my final grades just got an above average title. But there's really only one downside to him being a receiving back, and that's why I said wide receiver in his past life. He lined up out wide or in the slot 47 times last season and 23 times so far this season, and it makes sense why. He's full of explosion, has good agility in the open field. His route tree is pretty expanded. I'm kinda surprised he's not lining up a receiver more. He ran this combo post out route against Miami that was fluid and smooth. Love wasn't too open on this play, but that's more of a credit to the defensive back. We don't see many running backs running a route this competitive, especially out of the slot. And then I have to mention his hands. Watch this catch on a route out of the backfield. He was wide open, to be fair. Great play call by Marcus Freeman and company, but CJ Carr kind of missed this throw. But no fear, Jeremiyah Love and his impressive 5% drop rate over the last 2 seasons is here. One-handed snag and a 37-yard touchdown with some pizzazz at the end of it. There's the wide receiver part of it. The blocking part of it is just okay, I guess. It's honestly a little below average. He struggles to face rushers head-on and square, and his best pass blocking successes have come when he has a chance to kind of jump into the rusher like he's throwing a chip block. It's just the lack of anchor strength as a pass blocker, and he will get pushed into the pocket a decent amount. Despite that, he has improved as a pass blocker year by year, according to PFF. He's allowed only 1 pressure in 44 pass block snaps, but he has had it pretty easy, some of the snaps being quick passes or play actions. But yes, the promise is absolutely there to be a good pass blocker, and he's clearly showing development to get there soon. If you couldn't tell by now, it feels like everything with this guy just turns out to be a positive, and holy smokes. With all that being said, I think we have a lot of information down for Jeremiyah Love, and it's time to make a conclusion about him. We've seen some great running back prospects over the past couple of years: Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Ashton Jeanty, and I think Love is potentially in the same realm as those guys. I actually see a lot of similarities between him and Jahmyr Gibbs coming out of college. 2 hyper-athletic running backs with a ton of receiving value going into the league. Love is a lot bigger than Gibbs coming out, but the weaknesses are pretty similar. The second highest viewed video on my channel is my 2023 NFL Draft running back rankings, and I was a little too low on Gibbs coming out, I'll admit, primarily because I saw him more as a gadget player than I did a workhorse running back. I will not make that same mistake with Jeremiyah Love. Here's my draft graphic for him this season, and my NFL Pro Comp for him is actually a bigger Jahmyr Gibbs. Now, they do have different traits, some different, but they're actually more similar than they are different in my opinion. I am noting that Jeremiyah Love is a blue chip prospect in the 2026 NFL Draft, which means this will be the 3rd time in the last 4 years where I have had a running back that I can confidently say deserves to go in the top 15 of the NFL Draft. What do you think of Jeremiyah Love? Is he a top 15 pick? Is he a surefire first rounder for that matter? Let me know in the comments and go vote on my community poll. Thank you for watching my detailed scouting report on Notre Dame running back Jeremiyah Love.